Ponyfans.com here with linebacker Taylor Reed. And Taylor, you were stepping in for a guy who finished 13th in the nation in tackles last year in Chase Kennemer. With you stepping in, this defense won't miss a beat, right?
Easier said than done, but I've been working real hard. Kennemer has taught me a lot. It is definitely big shoes to fill, but with Pete, with Yuri Yanga, even JG helping me out a lot, so to get me ready.
What's the hardest part to replace about Chase? I mean, everyone saw all the tackles, but coaches talked about him being sort of a coach on the field and getting people lined up, and the leadership that he gave to the rest of the defense. What is the hardest part for you to step into that role?
Chase Kennemer is such a smart player, I'm trying to get to that level of knowledge, of game knowledge on the field, so hopefully I can get there.
When he graduated, or when the team started going through spring drills and he wasn't there anymore, Coach Jones started to say immediately that, you know, you're going to step into his role, not only playing, but also in that leadership role. Is that weird when, like you mentioned, Pete Fleps is a senior, Yuri Yenga's a senior? How do you take a leadership role when you got a couple older guys in there working with you?
It's definitely pretty tough. You know, you have two seniors and Pete Fleps and Yuri Yenga. I just pretty much learn from them, let them do what they do, because they're definitely seniors. They know they're real knowledgeable of the game, but definitely just try to give my say-sos and my points in, you know, as a leader standpoint.
Last year, there were four of you, I guess, freshman linebackers, one of whom was, you mentioned Ja'Garrett Davis. At the beginning of the year, he's a skinny dude who can run, but at some point during the year, he started to sort of take over parts of games. When did that point come about? When did you see him start to really take over some games, and what do you credit that to? Where did the light come on for him?
I know that game was, I think, was definitely Tulsa. Tulsa definitely stood out in that game. I guess, you know, really just he started believing that, you know, as freshmen we can really make plays, that we can contribute to this defense and be a part of it.
Last year also, he wasn't a freshman, but it was Yuri Yenga's first year as a linebacker. And everybody knew about his athletic ability and his smarts and his work ethic and everything, but it seemed like there were times he wasn't quite comfortable in that position. How different is he now than he was a year ago in that position?
Yuri's looking real good now, looking real good at that position. He's learned a lot. He has a year under his belt now, so he's looking, not even thinking anymore, just straight just second nature to him now.
When you guys got here last year, Yuri was in his first year at that position, but everyone knew he could rush the passer. He'd played defensive end before. With JG's development during the course of the year, now you've got two guys coming off the outside edge with ridiculous speed. How much does that help the defense to have them coming from both angles?
It helps us out a lot. We have, like how we like to say, like a double-edged sword. We have JG rushing from the weak side, have Yuri Yang on the other side, so it makes us makes our coverage way easier. So I know we only have to cover them for like 2 seconds, and the sack, it should be a sack. So any longer than that.
Does that help or hurt you guys inside? Because on the one hand, obviously it helps if they can get to the quarterback. But on the other hand, if they're spreading the offense out so much, doesn't that give a little more running room for the other team coming up the middle to you and Pete?
It does, but we have to do our job. I mean, there's 11 people out there. We know that our coach Mason, defense coordinator Coach Mason, he's not going to call a bad call. He's not going to put us in a bad situation, so we just have to trust and believe that we can make plays.
You mentioned Coach Mason. He and linebackers Coach Herring have both said that a couple of your freshmen, Uchenna Nubike and John Bordano, both may have to get in there and play some this year. Give us a little thumbnail sketch of those guys and your early impressions of them.
Uchenna's looking real well. I see him as another Yuri Yanga. Not to speak too early, but he's definitely showing the qualities of another Yuri Yanga. He's still raw, of course, like him and Bordano is, but they shown instinct, definitely instinct and abilities that they can play early.
You got a couple of guys back there with you who are at new positions now. Randall Joyner moved up from safety, and obviously he's a freshman, so he's learning anyway. And Braden Smith went from quarterback to safety to linebacker. How are those guys doing in terms of learning the position and getting comfortable where they are?
Both Braden Smith and Randall Jordan is getting the knowledge in. They know that they're behind. And so I know Braden's been working really hard upstairs in the coach's office, getting the knowledge of the linebacker position. And Randall is beginning and getting the knowledge.
Okay, so all right, you mentioned his nickname, Rambo, sort of speaks to the defensive mentality of coming up and hitting people. But Braden, as a former quarterback, how does he develop that? And do you see that defensive attitude getting into him already?
I definitely see the defensive attitude now. We have tackling drills all day. We go one-on-ones with the running backs, working on our tackling. They give us a pretty realistic look. So, and Braden's has been sticking his head in there. So,
a lot of people have talked about the guys who graduated from last year. Chase Kennemer, Brian McCann, people like that. But one guy who hasn't always gotten as much attention as maybe he should was Chris Parham. You, as an inside linebacker, stand behind the big nose tackle who would eat up those blockers. How different is it without Chris up front, and what do you think of the guys filling in for him?
Chris Parham definitely was a big contributor to what the inside linebackers did. So, but now we have, I know they moved Marquise to nose. He's been doing a real good job at that. If not Marquise, we have Spike filling in, and even Mike O'Gwen to show that he can hold it down on the D-line.
Okay, and I got to ask you sort of the same question I've asked a lot of guys, which is Texas Tech, new coaches. So you've got film of the personnel doing another system, and you've got film of these coaches working at other schools. How hard is it to prepare for this first game, and what kind of look do you expect from this from the Red Raiders in Lubbock?
It's definitely tough. We know they have a new coaching staff. We pretty much think that they're going to run a lot more than they usually did at the Tech system. Have a new coach, new offense coordinator, but it's definitely been tough. You have to watch old Troy film. Still have to watch Tech too. So it's going to be tough, but I think it's going to be a great game.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.